Welcome to Team Talk. I'm Craig Zimmerman, and with me today, we got a couple Saints in the house here. We got Coach Ski, Ben Farkas, Rylan Edgman.
Yes. Edgman. Yep.
Got it right. We might have to edit this just because my issue here, right? So you guys are the offensive side of the ball. We're going to get some defensive side of the ball in a few minutes here. But coming off a 2024 season, which was way improved, 6-4 season, had some really, really good games. Tell me about the progress you've made.
Yeah, I think just looking back at last year, one of the coolest things to see is the belief that is kind of instilled in these guys again. Opening up week 1 against Richmond, getting that win kind of solidifies some of that. And, you go all off season and preaching some things. And the week 1 win kind of helped us start it off on the right foot.
Okay. We got a lineman and we got a quarterback. Yep. And as I said earlier, the quarterback is nothing without the lineman, and I'm sure that coach has said that a few times, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, Ben and Rylan, coming into this program and Coach Key bringing in some new things. Tell me about it.
I mean, the culture's definitely changed. It went from being like school, home, or school and then practice and home. Like we didn't do anything as a team, and now kind of having that connection with your teammates definitely improves the game on the field, for sure. Because I mean, I went into this season like knowing everybody. You know their background. You talk to them. You hang out outside of football. It's not just a football thing, and that's kind of what I think the biggest help was just getting better connections with people outside of football, so you don't have to like end relationships just because football ended. That goes on forever.
Team building.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody knows that when you're playing football, I say it kiddingly, but it is true. If you have a bad line, your offense doesn't do much, right?
Yeah.
So in the trenches, tell me about you and your cohorts.
I'd say we are the closest group on the football team for sure. I mean, half these guys I've been hanging out with for so long, and we're just really close, and we get it done.
Okay. And what position are you playing?
I play right tackle.
Okay. Now, let me ask off the idea here. Can a right tackle play left tackle?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay. You just got to get it right in your head which way you're going, right?
There may be a few reps where you go the wrong way, but
yep.
At least in our offense, it's relatively simple to kind of just flip and flop like that.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the type of offense you run.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we're a multi-option spread team, so we use different option concepts. We operate out of the shotgun. I think a lot of times when teams think of a spread team, you think you're going to throw the ball 50, 60 times a game. For us, that's not really the case. We like to run the ball, and we like to establish the line of scrimmage with big guys like Rylan and Ben running the ball. We will run our quarterback, but we like to put our speed in space and get our athletes the ball as well.
Okay. So roughly speaking, Ben, how many plays you got to have in your head or on your wristband?
We don't use wristbands. We use like hand signals. So I mean, I would say I'm definitely thinking a lot as like I'm getting the hand signal, but I mean once I got that play, I'm only focusing on that play, and then once it's over, then I'll kind of erase it and move on to the next one. So I'm not like thinking about like maybe if I made a mistake, what I did wrong. I'm kind of just like locked in on one play once I get it.
Okay. So if you're looking at the sidelines, and I'm not going to ask you for codes or anything, but are you looking for a color? Are you looking for a number? What are you looking for?
It's kind of all built into the play. Like there's a certain movement that we'll do in the hands that will let me know what the code will be. Okay. So it's not necessarily like yelling out a specific color or anything, and then I'll just relay that, like what the hand signal was. I'll figure it out in my head, and then I'll relay it to the O-line.
Okay.
So they know what they're doing up front.
Now, is it just you that are looking to the sideline for it, or is the lineman too?
It's all the skills players. The linemen, once the ball is set, they get set, so they're kind of down and waiting, and it's all the skill players are over looking at the sidelines because you got to get the formation too.
Okay.
So they're kind of all running around, making sure that they get set and trying to look at the sidelines. Okay. And then the linemen are just all set. They're focused in, waiting for me to say something.
So you keep that all right here? Well, we laugh about that, but I'll tell you what. If you're sitting in the stands watching, and I've said this about high school football for years, doing the games from the press box, it's not as simple as it looks.
No.
There's a lot of detail going on down there.
There's certainly a process and a procedure, and I think that's something we rep a lot. If you ask these guys, is a procedure of how to get lined up, because if you don't get lined up, you can't run a play. So, you know, Ben talks about the offensive line getting set and the skill players looking to the sideline. That's all kind of orchestrated deal, something we actually practice a ton so that when we get out there on Friday nights, we can operate the way we want to operate.
Is there much input from Ben reading the defense?
We talk throughout the week on kind of
Okay.
plays we like and I like. There's plays that I like that he tells me I don't like this and I don't, you know, feel comfortable running it. So for me as a coach, I need to stay away from that play because I'm not out there on Friday nights. I'm
Right.
not the one running it and throwing it. So he needs to feel comfortable with what we're doing as an offense so that he can go out there and succeed.
Now, let me throw this weird one at you. So Ben goes up to the line with a play, but he sees something that you hadn't seen. Can he audible?
We're getting to there.
Okay.
We're getting to there. I would say last year, no, that wasn't something
Okay.
we had the ability to do. Now, us as coaches, we may see it and then check to something.
Sure.
But we're getting to that stage of where, you know, we feel comfortable with. He's played enough football to this point that he knows what we're looking for in terms of audibles and stuff like that.
I find it interesting, guys, just from the basic perception of, you know, the parents in the stands, once again, they're watching this game, and they're going to say, oh, why are they doing this again? And it's like, you're the quarterback, and you're seeing something, and if you are going to audibilize, you're going based upon the formation they're bringing at you or what they're doing maybe with their linebackers coming up or what they're doing. And you got to hope you're right because they're trying to do the exact same thing to you.
Yeah.
To have you call something and bait you into something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the teams you play on Friday night, they practice 4 days a week just
Right.
like you do. So they're scheming and trying to figure out ways to defeat us, and we're doing the same.
Yeah, and that's what I always say. You know, I always say give the benefit of the doubt to the coaches because they're there 4 days a week running this stuff, and they've also watched many hours of film of what the other team is tending to do.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you know, going into Friday night, I mean, I hate to ask you how many hours you spend on film during the week.
Probably too much.
Yeah.
You know, luckily I, you know, have a wife at home that's very supportive of what I do. So she allows me to kind of get in there and watch as much as I need to.
Yeah. So coming into the new season for 2025, you went from 2-7 in 2023 to 6-4, a good increase. I'm sure that you're looking for big things this year.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're going to start off against Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
That's another crosstown rivalry, right? I mean, you got Marine City, Marysville, Richmond are all within proximity of.
Yeah.
That's a big game coming out of the chute.
Yep.
Yep.
It always is.
Anything that sticks in your mind from last year when you played and beat Richmond that you got to watch out for or prepare for? Did they graduate their quarterback or the running backs or?
Yeah, they graduated their quarterback. He was I would say he was a big part of their team. I mean, he's been there, I assume, all 4 years, probably playing football too. He also played baseball, so he was a good athlete in general. He was a good foundation of their offense, and him leaving, I'm not sure what it's going to look like. But having that game week 1, I think is one of my favorite games probably to start off with because they're competitive.
They're good.
Yeah, they're good. They don't quit. And I mean, that game last year, I think it was just a great way to start the season off because obviously we're going into a whole new system, and seeing that everything kind of work in place, they gave so much light in everybody's eyes, and then we just took that game and kept building and building and building.
Okay, made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. And so you made the playoffs, and you ran into Luther North, who was a pretty good school, pretty good team. They won 2 or 3 districts in a row, I think. So obviously this year you want to go further.
Yeah.
Is the idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Each year we have goals that we set for ourselves,
Yep.
and the main one right now is to win week 1. And whoever we play week 1, we play Richmond, we want to beat Richmond.
Yep.
And then we kind of take it game by game from there. But certainly, the belief and the commitment, each year it's kind of got to reset, right? Because what we did last year, we want to use it to build on this year, but we did some really good things in the off season that last year that we need to do again this year to get us past the point where we were last year.
Okay. So you got the 2 leaders here on offense, going to make the difference going into this year because you really got a lot under you already. You got a good foundation.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell us about?
Not necessarily, but I
Okay.
mean, it's not.
So you're going to have 7-on-7s this summer. When's the first one coming up? You must-
Our first 7-on-7 will be the last week of June.
okay.
Yep. So we'll do around 4 to 5 7-on-7s, and some team camps and whatnot mixed in there.
Will the first 7-on-7 be a home 7-on-7?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe
Okay.
so.
It's a little ways away, so
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you for coming in today, and then we'll keep Coach Ski here and bring the defense in, right?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Back with the defense for the Saints here. Coach Ski with Eli Naylor, Jay Stockwell, number 20 and number 50. Defensive guys. The heart of the defense tends to be guys like you, defensive end, linebacker.
Yeah, sure.
Of course, the defensive line too.
Mhm.
So you're coming into your second season with Coach Ski, looking for big things.
Oh, yeah.
Both starters in your junior year?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you're 2-year starters. He's counting on a lot from you.
Mhm.
So, Coach, I didn't ask you, are you coaching offense or defense?
So I kind of coach a little bit of both.
Okay.
Offensively, I've got a little bit bigger of a role on the offensive side of the ball, but defensively I help out as well. So I help out Coach Tapman and Coach Parker and Coach Joe. So I kind of coach both sides of the ball, really.
Okay. Now, talking about a defensive end, is there anything that's different about defensive end other than just rushing the heck and getting to the quarterback or running back?
Oh, yeah. You have to handle pulling guards a lot.
Okay.
Also, make sure.
Now let's break that down. I know what that means, but people in the stands that might watch this, pulling guard is when, if you're on the left side, a right guard will pull back, come, and then basically come up the line and try to hit you.
Yes.
Yeah, try to kick them out. So you think you have, a free run at the play, and you look to your left or to your right,
Boom.
and you got a guy waiting to kick you out.
Yeah.
So I think that's something we work on a ton defensively, and he gets a lot of good reps at it because what we do offensively, he's constantly being read. So he's got to make a decision to take the quarterback or take the running back. So he gets a lot of good reps at it.
Okay, so you've got a guy coming down the lane. I'll call it the lane. Down the line?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to see that he's coming to you.
Yes.
And tell me what you do with a read on that.
Usually I would wrong arm, which I would kind of pull to my right a little bit and hit him head on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the running back or quarterback's coming the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So whose job is it to pick that up?
Well, it depends. If the blocker successfully kicks him out, then Jace or one of the other linebackers got to be there to fit it. But if Eli does a really good job of, like you said, wrong arming, so taking that outside arm, his free arm, and ripping through that guy's face mask, he can kind of be the free man to be there to make a tackle.
Okay. And will they ever take a guard, pull him one way, and run the play the opposite way just for sheer sake of deception?
Teams do it. I think a lot more often it happens that offensive linemen just pull the wrong way because they got the wrong play.
Okay.
So on tape it may look like they really drew something really good up,
Okay.
but more times than not that's just the offensive line pulling the wrong way.
Is it automatic that he's picking up that guy pulling?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Depending on the way we're fitting the run, different guys could kind of be spilling it or boxing it in.
Okay. Is there ever a position where a defensive end would not come in strong on his side, but come around and go into the inside?
Yeah, so if you're running a different stunt or a different blitz, and if it's called, they could be looping or slanting or
Right.
pinching, depending on the defensive call.
Okay. And then the linebacker. Tell me what goes on with the linebacker as far as what are you reading an offense?
Guards.
Guards?
Guards, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All guards.
So let's talk.
He's well schooled.
Okay, talk about that a little bit. People in the stands watching a game,
Mhm.
they're not watching a specific player, they're watching whatever's going on. What's a guard going to do that's going to allow this guy to do one thing or another?
Well, on every play, you have someone that you're reading to tell you whether it's going to be a run, a pass. It's tough to look at an offense and say, I got to figure out based off of those 11 guys what's going on. So you choose one guy based off of your position, that's your read key. And that guard is going to tell you run or pass, or he's going to pull or down block, and that'll kind of give you the direction that you need to go from there on out.
Now, are there 2 or 3 linebackers in your set?
For us, we have 3 linebackers.
Okay, and which one are you typically playing?
Right outside linebacker.
Okay. So are you always reading the guard that's closest to you, left guard?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then, other than a situation where you're changing people, somebody goes off with an injury or substitution, is he ever changing to a center, middle guard, or middle linebacker, or left linebacker?
Yeah, depending on the personnel that's out there, if we want to get more speed out there, and we could take one of our bigger linebackers out and put him in there and kind of shift it around. So, and with injuries, you never know where you could end up, especially later in the year. So he's kind of well versed in all three positions and has the ability to do all three.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, with the defense, then you're running 3 linebackers. Is there ever a case where you run 2?
Yeah, depending on what an offense does formationally, you'll have to adjust and take a guy out of the box or bring a guy into the box. Likewise, if they bring guys into the box.
Is that a conventional 4-3 defense then?
Yeah, it can be a 4-3, and depending on the set that you're in, it can be a 4-4, and if they split a guy out, it could be a 4-2. So it kind of varies based off of what the offense is trying to do to you.
And I'm assuming, but you can tell me, if you're running a real fast team with a lot of speed, you might drop a linebacker back.
Yeah, you want to match their personnel essentially. So if they put speed out there, we got to put speed out there.
Okay. Now, guys, he watches a crazy amount of film.
Yeah.
Wait, how much film are you watching film, say, during the season? Are you watching film 4 days a week, 5 days a week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
6 days a week?
6 might be a stretch.
Okay. No, you got a life. I get it. There's
Yeah.
other things to do. So a lot of times people don't realize, even in high school, what huddle and that whole program and the technology's done to what you guys do. I can remember a time, and you're probably not old enough to remember VHS tapes that went in.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, okay.
I've heard of them.
So my nephews played, and they used to go and get the VHS tape and watch the offense or watch the defense.
Mhm.
Now huddle, and a lot of fans don't maybe realize, your parents might, because they'll come in the room when you're watching, but you basically have a film that comes to you Saturday, right? Or it
Mhm.
doesn't come to you anymore. You go online, click, and you're watching this next week's offense, because you're playing defense, and you get to watch the last however many games that he's going to give you, right?
Yeah.
So, and not only that, but he's going to grade them, and he's going to send them to you, and I'm guessing you're going to grade them and say, hey, Jace, look for number 20 coming your way, or something
Yeah.
like that, right?
Yeah.
So that, and that makes it a lot easier for you guys to read and watch,
Mhm.
because you can all of a sudden, and I'm not like as knowledgeable as you are, but I've watched enough that you can circle guys and you can,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's essentially a whiteboard on video. So
Right.
you see on ESPN the announcers drawing up. It's really the same thing with huddle. And
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest advantages for us has been to use it for practice film as well. So after each day, someone makes a mistake or someone does something really good, we'll go in there, and before the next day's practice, we're going to watch that tape and go through it and make our corrections, and then they're getting real live feedback
Yeah.
throughout the week of practice, not just on Friday nights and Saturday nights.
So let's pick a game here. I'm going to just say, so Richmond, you're going to start off the season with Richmond, and you're going to watch film on Richmond from your game last year with Richmond and probably, half a dozen others?
Yeah, so with that first game, it's a little bit different because they haven't played any games before
Right.
that. So we'll take, what we did to them last year and what they did to us with a little bit of a grain of salt, because we know each year
Right.
is different, and
Personnel.
yeah, absolutely. So and then we'll get some of their scrimmage film, which helps out a lot. But as you kind of go down throughout the year, you'd start to get more and more games because people have just
Yeah.
played more.
So if we go down to Hazel Park, let's take Hazel Park, because you're going to maybe week 6, 7, somewhere in there.
Mhm.
You've got Hazel Park. You played them last year, and then 4 or 5 games that they played this year. From a defensive perspective, when you're a defensive end or a linebacker, are you able to memorize a little bit in your mind what you think they're doing when they're setting up a play?
Yeah,
A little
100%. Yeah.
Okay. And so you sort of get an idea what they're going to run,
Mhm.
and then obviously come into a timeout with Coach. Coach can ask them how they're lining up.
Mhm.
What else are you talking about at a huddle?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we have the advantage of coaches being in the press box. So they get
Yep.
to see it from a bird's eye
Yep.
view and then relay it through the headphones to all the coaches that are down on the field, and whether they're running a specific play or formation, if it's giving us trouble, if we're shutting it down, they can relay that to us, and then we relay it to the players.
Okay. Like I said, going into the season, you got a lot of good things going on. Good leadership here, good
Mhm.
leadership on offense. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything going on with your team building or anything?
No, I don't think so.
The offensive guys told me that from the teamwork standpoint, it's night and day this year versus prior years.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, you know what he's thinking,
Yeah.
and he knows what you're thinking.
Which is scary. Scary. Very scary.
Okay, thank you to Eli, Jace, Coach Ski. Thank you for coming in to Team Talk, and we'll show some of the pictures you brought in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, a big part of what we do within our program is preparing our players for the years outside of the game of football and what they do off the field. And being in a smaller town and being in this community, it's really important that we get out there and we serve our community. So a few of our pictures, we've done things like, go to the senior citizen home, Mallard's Landing. We did that a couple of weekends ago and played bingo. I was not successful in the game of bingo, but that was fun. We've read to the elementary schools the last couple of years, which is a really great tradition that we started. You can see Rylan here in a three-point stance, with a really, really young player. Hopefully will be a great Saint one day.
There you go.
We do a lot of team bonding stuff to kind of ingrain what we're looking to give them within our program. So, we'll get in the pool and we'll play water polo. We'll play, Air Force football. We played dodgeball last Friday. And being a part of the community is something that's really, really important to us. So we really like to get out there in the community and serve as much as we possibly can.
Okay, thanks for coming in, everybody, and we'll look at the pictures.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yep.